to when my husband and I, years ago, were leaving on a jet plane. And it was a small plane with 2 seats on the left and 3 seats on the right. And in front of us, there was a couple with twins, baby twins. They were the most adorable, cherubic baby girls. I found out 8 months old they were. And the flight attendant came to us and explained that on takeoff, there were only 3 oxygen masks that would pop down in case there was a problem taking off. So she asked if I could switch and go and sit in front of me with the mother and 1 twin, and the father would come back and sit with Jim, because then they wouldn't have 4 oxygen masks for the 4 of them. So I said, sure, before I realized what I was doing, and I went and sat up there, and this was the most beautiful baby at 8 months. Well, when I sat down, I realized what God was. I thought, why are you doing this to me, God? Because I immediately felt such profound grief, such a pain of loss in sitting there so close to a twin. Well, there is a backstory, and it goes way back to before Jim and I were married, and we would talk about what kind of families we would like, and he said he would like 12 children, and I thought, wow, where am I going to find another guy who wants 12 children? I was really happy because I wanted 12 children too. Little did we know. But anyway, that was great. I thought, wonderful. And twins ran in my family. And genetically speaking, or according to heredity, it was, I don't know if it's true or not, but it was supposed to come every 3rd generation. And so I was it. So I thought, oh, wouldn't that be great? We both said, for the effort of 1, we might get 2. Wouldn't that be nice? So we got married. I got pregnant. And I, unfortunately, had a miscarriage. So when I was on the plane, sitting next to this twin, that was a bit much for me. I really suffered. I thought I was going to burst into tears, into sobs. I thought I would not be able to stop myself from crying. And I thought, well, I don't want to be a nutcase on the plane. Please, God, please help me to not cry. And I kept praying that over and over again because I really was going to burst into tears. And then make small talk, look at the baby and not just sit there like a stone. I had to be pleasant to this lady and the baby next to me. So we leveled off, and thank goodness I could get up and go back to my seat. So I thought, God, why did you do this to me? And I thought, well, I somehow realized that he was showing me what I lost. But I had the strong feeling that he was showing me somehow that I would see them one day in heaven. I would see them. And I believed that. Then he also inspired me to write a song. And this song was to help heal my grief and also to show my love for that unborn child who no one ever knew that soul had ever existed. So I wrote the song. It's a single song, CD, and it's called Yesterday's Child. And before you leave, they will be in a basket for you to take if you'd like one. You might be able to take more than one if there are enough, I don't know. But and also, please ignore the copyright warning. It doesn't matter. You could do whatever you want with them, okay? So getting to being a mother, having several miscarriages, but then God was wonderful enough to me that who wanted the big family. We have 5 lovely children and 16 grandchildren. And being an only child, this is a lot of people in my family. And I love every minute of it. I'm certainly never bored, not for a minute, especially with the dog. But raising young children through grammar school and teenagers is very challenging. things happen, and we had numerous things happening, as many families have, whether it was a severe illness. For example, last year, 2 of our grandchildren had illnesses that were actually life-threatening. And things like that just evolve through the years, whether it's an illness or some other behavioral problems, whatever. So what do I do in distress? Because there was a lot of stress in my life. Well, all of a sudden, one day, I was really upset, and I saw the face of Jesus right in front of me, in my mind, probably, but there he was, and he was on the cross, and I only saw his face, and he was tilted in agony, but he was looking right into my eyes with such profound love. And I was so humbled and amazed that I would feel this tremendous love from someone suffering so much, and that he did this for me and for each of us. So that got me out of any negative feelings about any stress or challenge from then on, to tell you the truth. It humbled me beyond telling. Once I was actually in such emotional turmoil from something that had happened in our family that when I went to bed that night, I've never done this before, but I was actually kicking my feet under the covers in such pain. And all I could do was plead with God to please tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do, because I don't know what to do. And I knew he knew better than I did. So, believe it or not, he led me to forgiveness. He led me to be able to think and act in a way as a mother to try to lead my family together to the best way of healing, to the best way to heal ourselves. We still reap the benefits of that healing, I must say. Now I'm going to talk about some suggestions that many of you probably know better than I do, but I like to refresh them for myself, and maybe you would like to have them refreshed a little bit also. So, as a mother, these work for not only a mother, but a grandmother, friend, co-workers. They work for everyone. There are 5 of them. The first one is changing priorities. Well, when I got married, we still ironed clothes and whatnot, everything, and I used to dust and clean my house every week, if possible. Well, when one baby comes, and then another baby comes, and then maybe I would do volunteer work, some things have to become less important than the baby or whatever else I'm doing. So that is changing priorities. That is a very healthy thing to do. The second is, I learned to expect the unexpected. I was blindsided several times with 5 children. So I learned never to take anything for granted, never to take life for granted. The third one is no silent treatments. When I used to come home from high school, I'd open the door to go in the house, and my mother would be at the sink with her back to me. She wouldn't talk to me sometimes. And I thought, oh, what did I do wrong? Well, I found out years later when we were talking about things, I said, Mom, why did you do that? And she said, well, I wasn't mad at you. I was hurt because your dad had said something to me. And I said, but Mom, how was I supposed to know that? I had no idea why you weren't speaking to me. And I'm sure people don't, if I were to give someone the silent treatment, they probably wouldn't have a clue why I was doing that. So talk quietly about something. Don't keep it inside. I try to talk it out. And a good idea is to start with compliments for each other if you're one-on-one, and then calmly talk about some criticisms. The fourth thing is never to bear grudges. When I was teaching high school many years ago, and I was giving an exam, and I was walking up the aisle between the desks and monitoring the exam, and I came behind next to a girl, and there she was writing answers that she had written on her hand and copying them down on the paper. And so I bent down and I looked at her and I said, "I'm terribly sorry, I have to do this." And I took the paper away and I had to give her a 0. I knew that the next day she was going to think she was the worst person on earth and that I would think the worst of her from then on. But I didn't do that. I don't know what motivated me, but probably God. He was in my life a lot. So the next day she came in, I said, "Hi," she sat down, I called on her, I smiled at her. She knew that it was a new day, and nothing else mattered. This was the new day, and I trusted that she would learn from that and know that I did not hold her responsible for the rest of her life for cheating on that test. The fifth thing, and probably the most important, is forgiveness. Now this is hard I'm not talking about people who are abused or anything like that, but in general, in a family, with your co-workers, with your friends, anyone this could apply to. Forgiveness is probably the most important thing of all, because that's what God told me way back when I told her I was kicking my feet under the covers when something had happened in our family. Well, He led me as to how I should think and how I should act, because being the mother in the family, I knew that I could influence how everybody else responded to this hardship in our lives. So the most important thing at that time was forgiveness. And I didn't like what the person who hurt our family did, but I loved the person because I knew that he was basically a very good person. So that is what God led me to do way back when I was in such pain with a very serious event in our family. How I coped with my distress whenever anything cropped up in the family were certain devotions that I believe God sent to me. And the two that I'm going to mention strangely go along with seeing the face of Jesus in His agony. One is the Chaplet of Divine Mercy, and the last line of that is, "Jesus, I place my trust in you," and I say that all the time. And that, interestingly enough, has to do with Christ's Passion. And the second thing that I do is, and I believe God led me to these, is the 12-year prayer of St. Bridget on the Passion of Jesus. Yeah, it's a long one. I have like 3.5 years to go, but I don't think I'll ever stop because it has enriched my life so much. It has become my saving grace and my spiritual daily bread, and I love saying it. When I sit down, I think, oh no, I didn't say it during the day, I have to say it now. But once I start, I'm in another place. It's wonderful. I got the message that I was supposed to tell my family that if each one of us forgave, we would benefit the most. And that's what happened. And to this day, the help that we received during that hardship has never ended. Still goes on and on and on. I believe the more we ask of God, the more He gives to us for guidance. Imagine if you're a child and He keeps coming to you for advice. My daughters call me for recipes, and whoa, I'm glad to give them advice. So God does this more than that with us. With that, I will open up to questions.
How often do you remember the vision of Christ? Is it a daily thing?
Okay. Yeah, that wasn't an actual vision. It was more of a mental image, I think, although maybe I saw His face so clearly, and He was in such pain, and His love just came out to me, and it happens periodically. Whenever I need Him, I sometimes just see the face of Christ on the cross. Whenever I think I'm going to give up on something, all of a sudden there He is. Wow. And I think, okay, all right, I give up.
Awesome.
Okay?